What is your initial reaction to this issue and the success of it?
I think all compliments to the Finance Ministry. They have done a fantastic job. A lot of groundwork was done, and consequent to which you see what has happened.
But Mr. Swarup, there is also another chain of thought where they indicate that probably government institutions like LIC actually had to step in and swoop to bail out the issue. What are your comments to something like that?
I think this is a financial decision taken by LIC, and only they can answer. I would believe they've got a good deal.
And as far as the government is concerned, do you think you're going to take this as a success?
Indeed, it is a success. I think it's a matter of confidence that the people have bestowed in the government in terms of how the economy is recovering and how buoyant is the economy.
Mr. Swarup, now I would like to ask you, what is the road ahead for Coal India? As the Secretary of Coal, how do you think the company will now look at reassuring investors and actually, as far as the investor sentiment is concerned, to ensure that it's absolutely in place?
As I had been mentioning earlier also, we are looking at a demand of about 1.5 billion tons by 2020, out of which 1 billion ton will come from Coal India. So they are working on a plan, which is a mine-wise plan, to ensure that this production is ramped up. It doubles in the next 5 years, and they are working on a very detailed plan, mine-wise plan. They're not only working on mine-wise production plan, they are also working on mine-wise evacuation plan, because there's no point in producing more coal if you can't evacuate it to the destinations. And that is where our interaction, very intensive interaction with the railways are in position. We are traveling to the states. We are discussing with the chief secretaries to see how we can put in place joint ventures to implement these projects so that they are in position in time and they are able to evacuate coal. So whereas on the one hand, we are looking at ramping up production by Coal India, on the other, we are also looking at evacuation of this coal.
Mr. Swarup, less than 6 months ago, the investor sentiment around the sector had taken a huge hit. The mammoth Supreme Court decision to actually go ahead and cancel all mining licenses. Do you think with the success of this issue, we're talking about probable sentiment improving around the coal sector per se?
I think the sentiment is already improving. There are signals already there. First, the coal auction are proceeding as per our schedule. And we hope that the Schedule 2 mines shall be handed over before 31st of March. That itself will lead to increase in coal production. So as I said, all these coal auctions are non-Coal India coal block auctions. And we are hopeful that through these coal auctions, 204 in all, there would be an additional production of about 500 million tons. And that is how we hope to achieve 1.5 billion tons by 2020.
Mr. Swarup, if I can ask you here, there is another extra dilution of 5% stake of government shareholding that is necessary to meet the SEBI's minimum public shareholding norms of 75%. How soon will that exercise be taken up? Is that something that's crossing the government's mind currently?
No, this is a call which the Ministry of Finance will take. I think disinvestment, there's a full-fledged department for it. And they consider various aspects and then they take a call. And I'm sure they will take a call at the right time.
Looking back, there was a little bit of a hitch in terms of getting Coal India's labor unions on board. What exactly managed to get them on your side? Because this was an exercise undertaken last fiscal, didn't happen, and finally saw light of day this time.
There were certain misapprehensions in some of their minds. They were under the impression that the government has any intention of denationalization Coal India. We dispelled those misapprehensions. We very clearly told them, and we stand by it, that there's no attempt to denationalize Coal India. And once that is done, I think they were convinced that this is a necessity that is happening. But all I can say is that we are still in dialogue with them. If they have issues, we'll discuss with them. A committee has been constituted under the chairmanship of Joint Secretary. They are meeting with them in February. And as and when the issues arise, we'll discuss with them. I mean, it's not a one-time issue. They would have problems. We'll continue to communicate with them as we've done in the past. And we'll continue to convince them that government has absolutely no intention to denationalize Coal India.
Mr. Swarup, if I can ask you to change gears just a little bit, you did mention the coal block auction, and we're talking about the first Case 1 23 operational blocks. Participatory bids for it will, the deadline for which will expire tomorrow. What kind of investor interest have you seen in the last couple of days? Are companies queuing up to actually look for participation in the coal block auction?
Indeed, I'm pleasantly surprised at the response of the industry. As many as 310 forms have been downloaded for these 23 blocks, which is quite a number. So we hope very positive happening in this regard.
And we're talking about 6 to 7 blocks that have been earmarked for the power sector. We've spoken to corporates on the other side, big names, the likes of GMR, GVK, Adani, Lanco, JSPL doing the rounds for these blocks to the power sector. Do you think this is the big game changer that all these players have been waiting for as far as this sector is concerned?
I don't know how big a change it would be. a game changer would it be, but it certainly will be a game changer. Because, what is being appreciated is the transparent manner in which the entire process is happening. Everyone knows everything. Whatever information is available with one is available with everybody else. Mm-hmm. And that's the advantage of transparency, and we're hopeful and keeping our fingers crossed that everything will be very smooth.
And as far as the consumer goes, that is something that the new government, consumer interest has to be maintained. So as far as keeping power tariffs low goes, is that something that has actually been priority for all of you? And do you think that will be successful through the end of this process as well?
Indeed, the government was really concerned that the tariffs consequent to these auctions, tariffs should not go up. And that is why reverse bidding is being done, to ensure that the value gets transferred to the consumer and the tariffs actually come down. In non-regulated sector, we have forward bidding. Mm-hmm. But in regulated sector, it is reverse bidding to ensure that the tariffs don't go up.
And Mr. Swarup, what is the process henceforth? We're talking about participatory bids, deadline for which expires tomorrow. But come February 14th, when price bidding starts, can you just take us through how that procedure will follow after that?
Right now we are looking at those, in all 42 mines where mining was actually happening, mm-hmm. which are a part of Schedule 2. Mm-hmm. Then we go on to Schedule 3, mm-hmm. the original list of 32. We've added another 27 mines. The idea is to cover the entire 204 over a period of time. Mm-hmm. But what we are doing it, these 101 will at least be covered by 15th of April maximum. The Schedule 2 mines will get cleared by 23rd of March. The Schedule 3 initial 32 mines by 2nd of April, we are trying to squeeze it before 31st of March. And maybe by 15th of April, the remaining 27 mines will also go through. This, as you know, are in two parts. One is for auction, mm-hmm. the other is for allotment. Even for allotment purposes to state entities, the notices have been issued. Sure. So we are working parallelly on auctions as well as allotment. The bottom line is to ensure that more and more coal becomes available, apart from the transparency of the process. So I'd like to inform you that the initial 42 blocks mm-hmm. have a capacity of 90 million tons per annum. Mm-hmm. The additional 32 blocks have another 130 million tons. And the 27 blocks, another 120 million tons. So we're looking at around 350 million tons in the next 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. This will be in addition to what Coal India is already doing, and we're looking at ramping up production there as well. Overall, we believe that the coal availability situation will improve quite dramatically in the next 2-3 years.
And if I can ask you for your comments on the enabling provision in the ordinance for commercial mining of coal. We're not seeing it in phase 1 of coal block auction, but is that something that the government is closely keeping a watch on for the next couple of blocks that will come under the hammer?
No, we are at this point in time keeping a very close watch on the ongoing auction process. There will be a lot of learnings out of this. Mm-hmm. Once we go through these auctions, then we'll sit down and think whether it is required, when it could be done, how it could be done. You have to be very careful about these things. So this, as I said, is a learning process. Let us go through that till about 15th of April. Then we'll sit down and see how do we take it forward.
Mr. Swarup, fair point. But before I let you go, one question on what you think the key challenges ahead are as far as ramping up domestic production is concerned, both Coal India as well as the private sector. What, according to you, will be key challenges we will need to overcome?
For Coal India, I think the biggest challenge would be in terms of evacuating coal. Mm-hmm. That will be the biggest challenge. Mm-hmm. For private sector, I think the biggest challenge would be that they have not been in this business of mining coal. Mining coal requires certain capacities, and I'm hopeful that they will build those capacities to do that.
All right, Mr. Swarup, thank you so much for speaking to us here at ET Now. Truly appreciate you taking the time off.
Thank you very much.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.